Welcome back to the It's Too Easy podcast. I'm Jake. This is my brother Zach. And last week we had a pretty good week. Went 13-8 in the NFL. Had a pretty solid week in college, 13-8 in college football. And then we had a pretty solid week in the NFL as well. 11-9. A lot of the player props we gave out ended up going, I think, 10-3 or 9-4. So I had a really solid week. So we're looking to kind of continue that momentum. This week have another really good week of college football and NFL for you guys. But yeah, first we're going to talk about college football. First game on our slate is Virginia Tech and Miami. I do like Miami. They're 19 point favorites in this one. They've looked really good on both sides of the ball. I think Cristobal is a defensive coach, having come and gotten Cam Ward from Washington State, who's a really good pocket passer. He's looked really poised in the first few games. I expect them to cover 19.
Yeah, they definitely have been looking good. We keep talking about it. Miami is top 10 team right now in the country. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball. Their defense is top tier. Obviously, Virginia Tech, we just had losing to Rutgers, and we like Rutgers. We don't think they're a bad team. So I was kind of surprised how close they kept it because I liked Rutgers plus three in money line and ended up only winning by three. Granted, it was a road game, but I do think Miami at home should be able to cover 19.
Yeah, I'm loving them this week. And then that Rutgers team that we are talking about, they're at home against Washington.
Hmm.
Expecting them to win this week. They're 3-0. They looked a lot better this year than they have in previous years. Their offense looks like they're starting to click a little bit more than they had previously. Washington is still a little bit in a transition period with not having Penix. A lot of those wide receivers, some of the defensive stars that they had last year are gone. So I think they're still in a little bit of that transitional period. I think this will probably be another early loss in the season for them. But I do like Rutgers a lot this week.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're a good team. I actually do think they have a chance, like looking at their schedule, to go win maybe one or only lose one game and be in the conference championship. Honestly, they are a good team. They're moving the ball well. They're not turning the ball over. And yeah, Washington's still got a lot of different pieces with, I believe it's Connor Wegmans at quarterback that came over, and then their running back came from Arizona. But like you said, a lot of weapons are gone, so I do think Rutgers can win that one at home.
Yep, for sure. And then Kentucky and Ole Miss. Kentucky played a great game against Georgia. I just kind of think they're traveling now to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is an absolute wagon. They score probably 60 plus a game. I don't expect this game to be much different, although Kentucky's defense is a lot better. I do expect Ole Miss with the way they play. They play super fast. They score quick. They should be able to cover 17 and a half.
Yeah, definitely. I like Ole Miss a lot. This one's kind of weird because Kentucky sometimes has those games where they just show up defensively.
True.
Uh, it could be one of those games, but I'm guessing it's not. I think Ole Miss has the ability to put up at least 40, even on this Kentucky team. And then I'm thinking Kentucky can maybe score 17.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what I was thinking,
Ole,
45-17.
yeah, I don't think Ole Miss's defense is that good. So it could even be a higher scoring game. But I like Ole Miss to cover 17.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know where the over under is, but if we are lucky and scores that high, I'm sure it's probably in the 60s somewhere just because Ole Miss is pretty much a 60 on their own team. But might take a look at that. Then Minnesota and Michigan. Michigan's back at home again. They're only 9 point favorites. I don't think Minnesota is very good this year. I just think that Michigan should be able to, like, it's going to be a defensive battle once again. But I just think that Michigan's offense, after playing a little bit of a tough game against SC, I think they'll have a little bit more figured out. I think they'll be able to spread the ball a little bit better, and I think that they should be able to cover 9.
Yeah, I think nine's definitely coverable.
Yeah,
This is a game. This is a game I could definitely see the under hitting. I think it could be like a 30-0. I don't, or
yeah.
30-3 or something like that. Like
I
I don't
was
think
thinking a
Michigan's going to
blowout too.
score. I don't
Yeah,
think Michigan's going to score that much. But I also don't think Minnesota's going to be able to score. So I think a underplay as well as Michigan covering are both
yeah,
solid. Also, I told you Michigan was going to go get that defensive touchdown in a win last week. So let's
yeah.
go.
True. But I was all over the over in that one. I said that
Hmm.
was going to hit by the third quarter, and
Yeah.
sure enough, it did. But yeah, and then so yeah, Michigan -9 feels like a good pick this week. Then we got Maryland and Indiana. Indiana absolutely
Mhm.
spanked UCLA, and obviously UCLA isn't too great this year, having lost a lot of their pieces, but they still do have Ethan Garbers, so I expected them to play a little bit better, at least at home against Indiana, but nope. Um, I think Indiana's a wagon. They're 7 point favorites at home against Maryland. Maryland doesn't look as good this year as they have previously, so I'm expecting Indiana to cover. I really like them this year.
Yeah, I don't have much of a lean on this one. I don't know much about either of the teams, so I'll just leave that one to you.
Yeah, no, I've been loving the way Indiana's look. Their offense looks pretty solid. Then we got Navy against UAB. Obviously, don't know too much about UAB, but I do know quite a bit about Navy, and they've looked really solid to open the year. So I am going to take them -5.5. From what I saw from UAB, they didn't look like too good of a team, and it didn't look like it was going to matter too much that they were at home. So I'm just expecting Navy to cover 5.
Yeah, that's interesting. Alabama Birmingham usually runs the ball really effectively, as Navy likes to do.
Yeah,
So I could see that end up being like a high scoring shootout where I feel like neither of these teams is able to stop the run. So I feel like a overplay may be a good play for that one. I'm not too sure if I like Navy to win that one, so I'll probably just stick with the over.
right on. And then we got Louisville and Notre Dame. That's 15 against 16. That's probably going to be one of the games of the week. I'm liking Notre Dame money line. I think since their loss, they've bounced back and looked a lot better. Now, granted,
Mhm.
Louisville does have Shah, who started at Oregon, transferred
Yeah.
to Texas Tech, and now is at Louisville. They look pretty good. I don't think. I think last week they had a lot of lucky plays. Like Shah just kind of threw the ball up a couple times and magically a guy came down with it. I don't think that it was really that great of a play. So I do think that Notre Dame's going to be able to take this one.
Yeah, I think the line was 7, which
Yeah.
I didn't love, because I think Louisville was in the championship for the ACC last year. Um, Ran the ball effectively, threw it pretty well with Plummer. I don't think Shaw's much worse than Plummer. I think they're kind of about the same player. But I know a couple of like Jamari Thrash, the receivers gone, as well as Isaac Guerendo. Um, but Notre Dame hasn't looked very good at all.
They
Um,
haven't,
I,
but I expect their D to step up.
yeah, I mean, yeah, they've been interesting. I watched Riley Leonard break one for like 40 yards just to toss it right to him at the end of the play. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You ran 40 yards, you got three guys around, you just go down. No, he
Yeah.
tosses it trying to get an extra 1 yard. It's like, um, but I don't know if they cover 7. I think I'll probably stick with Notre Dame on the money line.
Right on. And then Oklahoma's only 2.5 point favorites going into Auburn. I really like Oklahoma. I don't think they're as bad as they seem. I just think that they played a really good couple of teams. I think that whether it be I can't remember the dude's name. Dalton or Arnold, I think is Jackson Arnold is his name. Jackson Arnold. Whether it be him or this new guy that played this last week, I think they're going to be able to beat Auburn. Now, granted, Auburn has a good defense, but Auburn or Oklahoma should be able to match up with them via size. So I think they'll be able to cover.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma's going to be able to score the ball effectively, and I don't think Auburn's offense is very good. So I like Oklahoma coming down into Auburn and getting the win there.
Yep, love that. And then Ohio State goes into Michigan State. That's always a bit of a fist fight. But yeah, that they're 24-point favorites. I'm buying it down to 23.5. I really like Ohio State this week. They've been great to open the season up, and this is I don't know if this is their first Big Ten game, but if it is, I expect them to cover 23.5. They, as a team, they just look like the most complete team in college football, maybe other than Texas.
Yeah, they haven't been doing too much, which I think is great. They're just sticking to running the football with Quinshon Judkins as well as Travion Henderson, which are the two best backs or two of the best backs in college football. And then when they need to, Will Howard can make a play with his legs as well as throw it. I do think that they're gonna dominate this game. Michigan State's been pretty cheeks.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Peyton Thorne's still the QB there.
I think it's Aiden
And
Childs.
Oh, it is Childs now, huh? Thorne
Yeah,
might be with Auburn. I don't remember.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Aiden Childs is terrible. They lost to FAU or something like that, or barely pulled it off. So I do think Ohio State should be able to cover 24.
Yeah. And then we got Charlotte and Rice. I don't really have much of a lean for this,
Yeah.
but I know you love Charlotte on the money line. You got a buddy that works over there, so why don't you talk a little bit more about Charlotte?
Yeah, my buddy works with that team. They've been playing pretty well. They keep coming up on the wrong side of the game, but I don't think Rice is good. We've been talking about it the last few weeks when we took them 1 week, they got smacked. EJ Warner hasn't looked very good. And there's just some value in plus 220 for a good Charlotte team that's not traveling too far for that one. Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of like it. I think that they can move the football well, and so I could see an upset on the road.
Yeah, right on. Rice definitely isn't the team that they were last year. I was expecting them to be a lot better this year, but they definitely haven't shown it quite yet with Warner. And
Hmm.
then we got the biggest game, actually, not Louisville and Notre Dame. This is the biggest game of the week, probably one of the biggest games of the year, Georgia and Alabama.
Yep.
Um, I really love DeBoer over at Alabama now. I think he's doing a really good job developing Milroe, kind of doing what Saban couldn't. And I think, in general, I would I like what they're doing over there more than I like how Georgia's looked. But just I think in terms of like dynasty right now, I think that Georgia's just got the leg up on them, and I think they're gonna want a little bit of revenge for what happened last year in that whole CFB playoff issue where they lost in the SEC championship game, then they got
Hmm.
left out. Thought that was total BS. I think that this is going to be a total revenge game. So I'm thinking Georgia's going to go and beat Bama and cover two.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kirby's had this circled on his calendar since they lost, or at
Yeah.
least since they got ranked as five or six. Pretty sure there were six coming out of
Yeah.
that loss. But yeah, I think Georgia goes in. I think they dominate this football game. I think they could win by double digits.
Yeah, they should be able to fix whatever issues they had against Kentucky and be able to kind of iron those out here against Bama, I'm thinking, and get their seasons right back on track to where they were hoping. Then we got South Alabama at LSU. LSU's, I think, 21 and a half or 22-point favorites. I just don't think that's enough. South Alabama's not terrible, but LSU's kind of starting to get into their groove. Had a nice win last week by 17 against a decent team. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a
UCLA.
former, yeah, I was going to say a former Pac-12 team. But yeah, I think they're going to cover 22.
Yeah, I don't love that. I don't. I mean, LSU's been kind of shaky,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
South Alabama is one of those teams that just like will just keep running the ball, even if it doesn't work, and eventually something will break. So I could see him getting some points. 22 should be covered, SEC versus South Alabama.
Yeah.
So I would lean there, but I don't think I'm gonna touch it.
Yep, right on. Then we got Arizona and Utah. That's kind of a fun one. Utah ranked 10. I think Arizona fell out of the rankings after their bust a couple weeks ago. I like Arizona this week, plus 11 dogs. I'm going to take that. I think that Isaac Wilson's going to turn the ball over a couple times. Arizona is going to make some plays on offense, and it'll likely be a little bit of a higher scoring game. I expect Utah's defense to kind of hold Arizona a little bit more than the average team would, but I do think that Arizona plus 11 feels pretty good here.
Right on. Yeah, if Cam Rising's playing, I think it'll be an interesting line. We're there at 11. If Cam Rising doesn't play and it is Isaac Wilson, I'm gonna die on the hill, and we're going with Arizona money line.
Right on.
They're gonna
Right
go win
on.
this thing.
And then last game in the college football landscape this week, we got Oregon and UCLA. Wasn't really all over this at first, but after watching UCLA last week against LSU and the week before that against Indiana, I'm really liking Oregon minus 24. I do think UCLA doesn't run the ball very well. I think they only have 72 total rushing yards for their main back. So I'm thinking that Oregon, as long as we're able to stop the run, keep them in third and longs, get our defense off the field, get our offense back on the field, I think we should be able to cover 24. And if that's the case, I am as well liking the over 55.
Yeah, I definitely like the over 55. I think Oregon could put that up in the first half. Um, Garrett Nussmeier just threw for 350 on him, so I can only imagine what Dylan Gabriel's going to do, as well as what they can do running on the ground. Garbers, I think, is going to turn it over a couple times. I think he's kind of careless with the football, especially if they get down, they'll be slinging it. But I think Oregon could be up 24 in the first quarter, so I definitely like 24 for the game.
Yeah, we have been slow starters notoriously so far this season, other than against that Oregon State team. But this could be the game where that kind of turns around, and we do tend to play pretty well in LA. So yeah, I do like Oregon minus 24. But yeah, that's wrapping up for college football. Kind of transitioning over to the NFL landscape. First game of the week is Thursday night football. We got the Giants going, or the Cowboys going into New York and playing the Giants. Giants are 6.5 point dogs right now. I'm going to buy that up to 7.5. I feel like the Giants are not going to lose by 50 this year to the Cowboys twice. I feel like they're going to make it a pretty close game. I do expect Dallas to still win the game. I just expect this one to be a little bit more of a dogfight, more of just a classic NFC East battle.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning on. I mean, I like the Giants plus 7.5. I kind of like the 6.5. I'm kind of leaning on like Giants could pull it off. I don't love it. So I think 6.5 is a good play at home. Buy it to 7 is great. Short week on the road for the Cowboys. They just got ran twice at home. I mean, we talked about it before the season. I don't think they're good this year. They were
Yeah.
just exposed. The fact that they can't stop the run was just exposed yet again by Baltimore, who only runs the football. And then their corners have been exposed even before that. And so I think, thankfully for them, it's Daniel Jones. But
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors has looked good, and so I wouldn't be shocked to see him get going. I know that Bellinger often plays pretty well against the Cowboys. The tight ends often get going. So I think it'll be a pretty low scoring game, like under 40, if not 45. But I definitely think Giants should cover 7 at home.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking they'll cover 7. Biggest thing I'm seeing in this game is the last 2 games for the Cowboys. They've just pretty much lacked physicality on defense. And if Devin Singletary, who's a very physical back, manages to get some yardage early on early downs with those big offensive linemen that the Giants were just able to get, this could be trouble for Dallas. And if they're able to do that, they could shorten the game and just make it a lot more difficult on the Cowboys. So yeah, 11 plus 7.5. Then we got Denver and the New York Jets. Not too much to say about this one. Just taking the Jets minus 6.5. I do think that Bo Nix looked great this last week. I love Bo. I really think that he's going to turn into a good NFL quarterback. I do think that they're lacking a lot of key pieces in Denver. Only having Cortland Sutton to throw the ball to and not having a running back number one is going to turn into a major problem over there, no matter how good their defense plays. So I just kind of foresee that being a major issue here against the Jets defense. That's going to be flying all over the place. So yeah, I like the Jets minus 6.5.
Yeah, I like the Jets minus 6.5. We obviously talked about going with the Broncos for the third straight time last week, and obviously they didn't just cover, but they won by 20.
Yeah.
I think part of that's Sean Payton just against the Bucks. He kind of is familiar with their team, with what they do, and I definitely think the Jets defense is a lot better. Bo was pretty exposed the first 2 weeks, and I think the Jets defense is going to be able to get a couple takeaways. So I do think that they should be able to cover 6.5, 7, wherever that line falls at, pretty easily.
Yeah, I like that. And then we got Minnesota going into Green Bay and taking on the Packers. Personally, loving Darnold. Turned out he only had a knee bruise. I was pretty worried when I first saw the play happen. It looked like it was going to be an ACL or MCL injury or even potentially a kneecap injury. But it didn't turn out to be. It's just a bruise, so I think that he's going to be ready to go. Darnold's a damn dog, and they're 3-0. Minnesota. I wasn't expecting their defense to be nearly this good, so Kevin O'Connell's got it working on all sides of the ball. He's got the coaching staff ready, getting these guys ready to play. I think Green Bay's 2-1. I don't think they're a 2-1 team. If Malik Willis is playing, I'm expecting Minnesota's defense to come up big, and no matter what, they should win. But it really all comes down to how many turnovers their defense is able to generate.
Yeah, this will be an interesting game, little Aaron Jones revenge game against
Yeah.
Green Bay. I don't really have a lean on this one. If I did, gun to my head, I would take the Vikings money line on the road. Again, I don't love it. Darnold might not play. Jordan Love might not play. Malik Willis might. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I like what I'm seeing from Kevin O'Connell, Darnold. Obviously, Brian Flores and the defense, like you mentioned, are phenomenal.
I
So
always
the
forget Byron Flores is over there now.
yeah, his defense is balling, which I didn't expect. Obviously, we talked about Darnold and the offense preseason, loved that, and they're playing that well without Hawkinson right now. So I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on. But interested to see how that defense continues to hold up, especially as they get into a divisional.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got the Saints and the Falcons. That's another divisional game. That should be a banger. Saints looked great in the first 2 games, and then they stalled a bit against the Eagles. The Eagles looked pretty good. I was a bit surprised considering the Eagles D. I guess they really did get challenged, to step up in week 3, and they really did. But yeah, I think you and I are on opposite sides of this one, so I'll just go quickly on the Saints. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I think it's a bounce back. I think that the Eagles did kind of expose them a little bit, but I think that their defense is probably going to end up being top 5 in the league. And I think that Derek Carr, just with being a seasoned veteran, is going to be much more poised to go forward and win this game than Kirk. I do think that Kirk is starting to get a little bit of a relationship and kind of a healthy connection to his receivers, but I don't expect it to be enough against the Saints this week.
Yeah, again, I'm on the opposite of that. I think the Falcons are going to go out and dominate this football game at home, bounce back after a missed no call in the end zone against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Obviously, prime time, which Kirk doesn't win on prime time anyway, but then Mahomes obviously Chiefs in general.
Yeah.
Hey, they covered the 7.5 if you bought it up like we said to, though.
Yeah.
They had a shot, they didn't get it.
And the under.
Yeah, in the under, so we're all over that. Yeah, like you said, Mooney and Drake London both looking really good in that connection with Kirk. Bijan's been getting going. Algiers still going. I do like the Falcons at home. I think that they're going to win, and I could see a couple. I could see a couple turnovers both ways, but I definitely think Derek Carr will throw at least a pick.
Right on. Yeah, I could definitely see both those quarterbacks throwing a pick in that game, or at least maybe a fumble for six, or some sort of turnover. Then we got the Eagles and the Buccaneers. Um, Man, the Buccaneers are going to have a tough bounce back game here. I just don't think it's going to get much better. They were riddled with injuries against Denver, but I think Denver was kind of able to give the Eagles a solid blueprint of how to beat them. And the way the Eagles play, they do kind of play a similar style to the way Denver did just play Tampa Bay, but they play more physical. So I think that for that reason, I'm just going to stick with the Eagles money line.
Yeah, this one should be interesting because I know AJ Brown's still out. Devontae Smith, I think, is back. Dallas Goedert obviously had a huge game.
Yeah.
Saquon's got 5 scores already in the first 3 weeks. So the Eagles just won against the Saints, as you mentioned, but every single thing that could have gone wrong for them that
Well,
game went wrong, and they
yeah.
still walked away with the dub. And so I definitely think that they go into Tampa Bay when I don't think Tampa's that good of a team. Again, they'll float around 500 as they did the last few years, have a chance to win the division. But I do think Eagles come away with a win.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got Cincinnati and Carolina, Bengals and the Panthers. I don't really have a favorite for a winner in this game. Panthers looked really good in this bounce back week. I thought with Dalton, it
Hmm.
looked a lot more under controlled, poised. They ran the ball a lot better. I mean, Chuba Hubbard looked like a completely different player. They were getting the ball to Thielen. They were getting the ball to some of their other wideouts. So Xavier Legette had a few catches, which was cool to see. But yeah, no, I thought they looked really good. I don't have a like I said, I don't have a pick for this game, but I do like the over 48.5. I think after this last week, I'm expecting Carolina to put up some more points. I don't think that the Bengals defense is nearly as good as I thought they were. And I do expect that Burrow is going to put up a lot of points. So over 48.5 feels right.
I am going to stick with the Bengals -4. I like that. I think that obviously 0-3. Only one team in the last 120 years has gone 0-3 and made the playoffs.
Yeah.
2018 Texans. It's got to start somewhere. I mean, I don't think the Bengals. I said it before season. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, and I don't think they will. But I think that they could still get back to 9 or 10 wins.
Yeah.
And it starts with next week against the Panthers. Panthers suck. Um, Dalton, he came in and we were kind of both leaning like, maybe, the points, unsure about how that game was going to go. And Dalton came out slinging it, but I think it was more of a fluke than something to be
Yeah.
consistent with. And I do think the Bengals are in need of a win, and obviously their offense got going against the Commanders as well. So I think they should be able to step up. Offense should be balling, and their defense hasn't gotten any takeaways yet. So I think that they could get a few this week.
Right on. Yep, I do like that. And then Jacksonville and the Texans. Jaguars are, man, another team that's 0-3 that just looks terrible.
Hmm.
Yeah, they look terrible. Houston's at home in this game. They're only 2.5 or maybe 3.5 point favorites, something like that. Either way, I'm buying it down to 2.5. I like the Texans to bounce back after that loss last week. I thought they just kind of looked out of sorts, and I think that CJ Stroud, I just don't see him being one of those quarterbacks that loses 2 in a row consistently. Last year, I can't remember when they really lost 2 in a row. So I'm just going to stick with them to win this game by 2.5. I think that they'll be able to cover a field goal no problem as long as they play their game. Their defense has been pretty solid, so I'm expecting them to win.
Yeah, I'm running on like Texans money line, but also I don't love it. So because of that, I'm going to take the Jags +7. It's a division game. It's hard to do that when they look like cheeks and just got clapped by the Bills. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence got his bag, so now he doesn't care.
Yeah,
55 million a year to go lose a bunch of games, but it's a division game. I remember they had a couple close ones right around that 27-24 mark, if I remember correctly last year. I do think it'll be a close, like 3 to 6 point game. And so with that, I'll just take the 7 for the Jags, and I do hope the Texans bounce back. I'm rooting for them. But it just feels like one of those things where everyone's going to be going against the Jags after
Yeah.
watching that, and like maybe they'll finally show up.
Yeah, this feels like maybe against the spread, the Jags will take it, but money line, it feels like a sure Texans game because it's in division. Like Texans are for sure one of the favorites to be in deep into the playoffs this year. So if that's the case, they pretty much have to take this one. So we
Hmm.
shall see. Then we got the Steelers and the Colts. I know you and I are kind of on opposite sides a little bit on this one. I'm leaning on the Steelers money line. I just think they've looked great. I don't think their defense is stoppable. I really just don't. I think that they're that good. Um, Justin Fields has looked great. He's 3-0. I really don't have much else to say about that. Like it's a brand new team. He's still kind of getting to learn the ropes with this new team. And I think with Pickens there, with a lot of the other pieces that they have around him, with Najee Harris, with Jalen Warren, they have a lot of guys around him. And with his own legs, they can make a lot of things happen. So, yeah, I do like the Steelers this week.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and the more I look at it, I'm like, maybe the under. But I like the Colts. I don't really know why. I just kind of feel like they might win this one. Um,
I feel like
yeah,
they
I mean,
got their win last week.
I feel like this could be like a 14-12 where Boswell gets 4 field goals and the Colts walk away with 2 touchdowns and win it.
Yeah,
Like
12-9.
yeah, literally something like that. So like maybe because of that, I would be leaning the under, which it's at 41. So I'm like, I could see the under. Um,
That's pretty low.
yeah, but I'm like 24-17 still. I'm like, these
Yeah.
teams aren't great offensively. I think I might go the under, but I'm gonna take Colts money line.
Right on. And then Rams and the Bears. I don't really have a pick for this one. Rams are littered with injuries, and the Bears are still trying to get into a little bit of a groove offensively. But I am going to take the over 40.5. No matter who's injured, Matt Stafford manages to put up 20, and I think the Bears will manage to keep this game close. So I think they'll put up 20 as well. I do expect this one to be a field goal game. So yeah, I'm just going to take the over 40.5.
The Bears. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna touch this one.
Fair.
I'm leaning on the Rams money line on the road, but with 11 starters out, I don't know. I feel like because of that, it makes me want to lean under because I feel like they won't be able to move the ball when the Bears defense has looked pretty good. And then that makes me want to take the Bears money line. So like realistically, it would make sense to do Bears, but I kind of want to. I'm just gonna go with the Rams because I want to.
Right on. Yeah, I'm just gonna stick with the over in that and not touch team. Then we got the Cardinals and the Commanders. Cardinals are the home team in that game. I'm also gonna take the under in that game. Don't want to take a team. I really like both the way those teams have been playing. But every under that I've taken over 50 has hit. And this game, 50.5, just feels like a lot for two teams that can run the ball. So if they do run the ball, I expect that this game should have a lot less possessions in it, and it would make it go under.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not gonna take it over under in this one. I would probably lean on that 51 under, because I do like the Cardinals at home this week. I mean, we were talking about it. I said last week, I was like, I'm taking the Commanders with the points, and I think they're worth the plus 330 because it's juicy on the money
Yeah,
line. And what happened?
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I like the Commanders. I said it from the start of the year, but I think this one, I think Cardinals win it. I think that's a good matchup for the Cardinals. They should be able to control, I think, the time of possession
yeah,
with a little bit more of that vet and James Conner, Kyler Murray,
yeah.
and Jonathan Gannon. I think is a really good coach. Jaden Daniels hasn't turned the ball over, which I know he didn't do much at LSU. So that's been great to see. I could see Arizona getting a takeaway that kind of allows them to extend the lead up to 10, and then maybe Commanders have a shot to bring it back to 7 or 3 or something like that at the end. But because of that, I'm going to take Cardinals on the money line, and I do think they win this one.
Right on. Yep. So we got the Cardinals. Then I'm going to stick with the under 50.5 or 51, wherever you get it. Then we got the Niners and the Patriots. Niners are 10-point favorites at home. I think that's the largest favorite we have so far this week. I'm buying it down to 9.5 at -125. Just going to take it. Niners are bouncing back. They're 1-2. It's pretty much just totally uncharacteristic of them, but they have $110 million per year worth of injury right now in 6 players. So, yeah, they're going to come back this week, or at least a couple of the injuries are coming back this week, and they're going to bounce back.
Yeah, it's tough when you don't have CMC or Debo or Kittle or Bosa
Trent Williams.
or Greenlaw or Trent or
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But then you have Juwan Jennings go for 47 against me in fantasy, so I
And three
lost by
scores.
12. So that's cool.
Oh man.
Thanks, Juwan.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, no, I think Niners cover 10. I don't love it. That's a big line for NFL. Like this is
Yeah.
pro football players no matter what, and a good defensive Patriots team usually. I think the Niners should cover it like 34 to 10. I don't even know if they'll give up 10. The Patriots defense is or offense is terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of that, I could see the under if they do keep it, closer. But Niners
Not
should cover.
so not so player prop that I like for that one is a defense or special teams touchdown for the Niners. I feel
So
like they'll either return one for a touchdown or they'll probably get a pick six somewhere in that game.
I think Ayuk finally steps up because he hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah, fair. I could see Ayuk having a big game, maybe over receptions as well, because that number is probably going to be pretty low. So for
Hmm.
sure. Then we got the Browns and the Raiders. Once again, not liking picking a team for that because both those teams are just complete question marks right now. I really like the way the Raiders looked after they played the Ravens, but getting stomped by the Panthers obviously is getting stomped by the Panthers. So still a bunch of huge question marks there. Their
Big
defense,
oof.
they had a couple plays on defense where it just looked like in the middle of the play, a couple of the guys just stopped trying and the play wasn't over. And I was just like, wow, like it seems like super uncharacteristic of a Raiders defense that's led by Max Crosby for like two cornerbacks to be like not even trying to go in for a tackle and like one
Yeah.
guy's wrapped him up. You know what I mean? But yeah, I saw that multiple times. I'm sure that's going to get addressed this week. And I'm sure that's what Antonio Pierce was talking about a little bit after the game with the business decisions. Like these guys got to want to be out there. So
Hmm.
yeah. Anyways, I'm liking the over in that game. I feel like Cleveland was able to get a little bit going on offense. Amari Cooper had a really good week last week. If they're able to run the ball a little bit, Vegas is decent enough. I feel like that game should go over 37.5. That is a pretty low number.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Amari's healthy to be playing. I know he was questionable. It looked like it wasn't good. Um, I'm leaning on the Browns money line, so because of that, I'm really hoping Amari plays. I think I am going to lock it in either way. It just feels like one of those games that the Browns win. The
Yeah.
Raiders start to question coaching, and then all of a sudden we hear rumors about where's Devontae Adams going. Is it the Jets? Is it the Commanders? Or is he going to get traded to somewhere like the Niners? I think it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see. Like I said, I thought Commanders would have gotten Ayuk, paired him back up with Jaden, so I could see maybe a Devontae move or a Mari Cooper move or something like that. But yeah, for that reason, I think the Raiders start to fall apart a little bit, and I'm going to take the Browns, even though I don't like it.
Yep. Right on. And then we got the Chiefs and the Chargers. No, I'm not going to talk too much about this one. Just taking the Chiefs money line. I feel like that speaks for itself for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's a division game. Not sure if Herbie's playing. Don't really like the Chargers as a whole this year. Um,
They're
but
still
I'm
two
gonna
and
take,
one.
yeah, they're
So
still 2-1, and I'm gonna take the 8.5 just because I feel like it.
Chiefs can't seem
That's
to cover, so it makes sense.
yeah, like 8.5's a lot. Chargers are at home, division game. Do I think they'll cover? Not really, but I'm gonna take 8.5.
Yep, right on. And then we got Buffalo and Baltimore. Baltimore had a nice little bounce back against Dallas, although they almost did blow it in the fourth quarter. I do expect them though to kind of keep the ball rolling in this game as long as they're able to run the ball decently against Buffalo. I think they'll be able to take this game at home.
Yep, I like the Ravens at home. The Bills are balling, so shout out to them.
Yeah, for
Josh
sure.
Allen has looked great. Offensive coordinator Canales coming from the Panthers, dog.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, he's playing. He's calling really good plays for them, moving the ball around well, keeping everybody on their toes on the defensive side. I do think the Ravens have a better defense. I think Josh Allen finally turns the ball over. And I think that the Ravens capitalize on it. I think it's probably going to be on the lower scoring side.
yeah. That's
Uh,
what I was thinking as well.
I'm thinking of 24-20, 24 like
Yeah,
17. But I
17,
think the
13. Yeah, I'm thinking
yeah,
something
I
real
think
low scoring.
Ravens. I think Ravens coming away with a win at home, get back to 2-2.
Yeah, I'm also loving the player props in that game. Lamar over anytime touchdown. I feel like he's going to run in another one. I'm loving Derrick Henry over rushing attempts and James Cook over rushing attempts. I've been on James Cook over rushing attempts for like 5 straight weeks or 6 straight weeks going from last season, and I don't think a single one is missed. So I'm just going to keep riding that wave until it dies.
Yeah, with
um,
Canales since week
yeah.
11 of last year, they've been running the ball third most in the NFL, which is fun to see for a team that usually just has Josh Allen throwing it and trucking people.
Yeah, for sure. And it was also cool to see kind of Kincaid and Keon Coleman both kind of insert themselves into the offense this week. Felt
Hmm.
like they were like kind of cementing themselves as some of the better players in the league, and Josh Allen was able to get them the ball. Then we got the Titans and the Dolphins, the battle of two terrible teams. Dolphins now lacking any sort of quarterback, and the Titans pretty much lacking the same with Will Levis. The dude's terrible. I do think that the Titans are going to manage to go in and beat the Dolphins somehow. I don't know how it's going to happen. That's just what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, I'm leaning the same way. I don't know why. I feel like the Titans are due for a win, even though
Yeah,
like I don't expect them to win a lot this year. But I feel like I don't see 0-4. If they're going to win, it's going to be against Huntley or Skylar Thompson or something like that. Like you said, Levis has been a turnover machine, but I
yeah,
think he's also like he can sling the ball.
yeah. He's not
Um,
terrible. He just needs to make better decisions.
yeah, but yeah, the over under is 36. So my play of the week is just going to be the over because I
Right
think
on.
both teams end up scoring a lot actually.
That'd be funny.
I feel like
I
it's
can
going to be like a
imagine that.
34-31 shootout, like something some
Tennessee
garbage.
wins.
I feel like it's going to be some garbage football that I don't
If
know who
you're feeling the
wins.
over, then I'm taking DeAndre Hopkins to score a touchdown
Let's do
for
it.
sure. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to lay. And then the last game of the week, Seattle and Detroit. Just going to stay on
Mhm.
Detroit money line. I feel like Seattle 3-0, but not really a 3-0 team. Obviously, got to give Geno some flowers. He's done a really good job spreading the ball, getting Zach Charbonnet going. The offense has looked really good in the first few weeks, and their defense is stellar. Yeah, their defense has just looked incredible through the first few weeks. So got to give them their flowers. I just don't expect them to keep it going this week against Detroit. Detroit's a wagon. We know how good they are. They're at home, and yeah, they're going to take this game. Detroit Lions money line.
Yep, I got the Lions at home. I want to say I would say 3.5 cover, but like I could see a 3-point game. So I'm gonna take the Lions money line as well at home. I think Gino to throw a pick is up there. I think he probably throws two. Like you said, they're 3-0. They're not that good though. They beat a Dolphins team without their quarterback, the Patriots in overtime, and I forget who the other one was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're not beating like great teams. It might have been the Titans, but anyway. I think Lions win at home, so I think that's a good win to end the week and get them back to 3-1.
Yep, I agree. And then, yeah, just to end this segment this week, we'll kind of do something a little bit different. Going to talk a little bit about our parlays for you. You have a plus 2,000 juicer for us. It's Jets -7, Cardinals money line, Lions money line, Charlotte, the NCAA team money line, and Rutgers money line. I'm loving that. Um,
Yeah.
5 teams that I think all should be able to take care of business this week. And yeah, then in terms of me, the 4 teams that I'm on this week, Lions money line as well. I got Washington Commanders and the Cardinals over or under 50.5. The Jets -6.5 and Indiana -7. And I don't know exactly where that's at, but I'm expecting it to be right around plus 1,000. So good luck to everybody this week. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to our podcast. We really appreciate all the support from friends, family, just everybody that tunes in. We enjoy doing this. It's a fun hobby for us. So if you do enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, send us some love, show us the green slips, give us some more reason to just continue to log in every week and share some love with you guys, share some picks, and hopefully get back in the green. But yeah, until
Hmm.
then, we'll see you guys next week. And yeah, have a great weekend. Peace.
Yep. See ya.